Every year, you carry the same heavy thoughts into the future, and every year, they rob you of the peace you deserve. What if the problem is not your life, but the 12 silent thoughts repeating in your mind? We suffer more in thought than in reality, says Buddhist wisdom. And yet, you've allowed these thoughts to become your invisible jailer. But what if you could break free before 2025 begins? Stay until the end, because number 12 will shatter everything you believe about yourself. Before we begin, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, where each video is a doorway to calm and clarity. 1. I am not enough. What if the single thought, I am not enough, is the root of every fear you carry? Sit with this question for a moment. The mind whispers it in subtle ways. When you compare yourself to others, when you hesitate before opportunities, when you feel undeserving of peace. Yet, this is not truth. This is a shadow, not the light. Buddhism teaches that suffering is born not from what we lack, but from what we believe we lack. The Buddha reminded us that the mind is the maker of worlds. It can imprison you with doubt, or it can set you free with clarity. The mind creates scarcity where the soul sees wholeness. Can you see how this thought, I am not enough, has quietly shaped so many of your choices? Think of a diamond buried in mud, covered, unseen, forgotten by those who pass by. But does the mud make the diamond less precious? Does its value vanish because it is hidden? You too are that diamond. Layers of fear, doubt, and comparison may cover you, but they do not change your essence. The treasure is already within. Modern life feeds this illusion of not enoughness. Social media highlights what you don't have. Advertisements whisper you need more to be worthy, and even your own inner critic repeats the lie. But in Buddhist wisdom, enoughness is not something earned. It is your natural state. You were whole before the world named you. You remain whole no matter what rises or falls in your life. Pause for a moment and breathe. Picture yourself standing before a mirror. At first, the reflection is clouded with dust, old judgments, painful memories, labels placed upon you. And then, slowly, layer by layer, the dust falls away. With each breath, your true reflection emerges. You see not a flawed being struggling to be worthy, but the shining clarity of your true self. This is the self that was never broken, never lacking, never less. Affirm quietly within, I am whole before the world names me. Enoughness is my natural state. Nothing can add or take away from who I am. Let these words settle into your heart like gentle rain on dry soil. Now ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stopped believing you were lacking? How would you move, speak, and create if you trusted your wholeness? What is the diamond within you that fear has tried to hide? Remember this truth. The chains of not enough are not real. They are thoughts, not destiny. And when thoughts lose their power over you, you discover freedom. You do not need to become worthy. You only need to awaken to the worth that has always been yours. Your mind is not a storage room for poison. Empty it of this thought, and you will see how much light has been waiting to enter. 2. I must control everything. Does control protect us, or does it quietly imprison us? Many carry the thought, I must control everything. It feels like safety. If you hold every detail tightly, maybe nothing will collapse. But in truth, this thought does not free you. It binds you. It turns your life into a constant struggle against uncertainty, against change, against the very flow of existence. Buddhism reminds us that clinging is the root of suffering. The tighter you cling, the more you are pulled by fear of loss. the more you grasp, the faster life slips away. Like sand slipping through a clenched fist, life resists control. The harder you try to hold on, the more it escapes. Picture yourself trying to hold water in a closed hand. You press, you squeeze, you tighten, but the water leaks through every space. In the end, your hand is tired, yet empty. Life is not meant to be trapped, it is meant to be experienced. The river flows whether you grasp it or not. In the modern world, this thought hides behind masks. You plan every step, try to manage every person, and worry endlessly about outcomes. Yet, how often has life surprised you with blessings you did not plan? How often has the path unfolded better than you could have controlled? Control is an illusion. Presence is the truth. Take a deep breath. Now imagine exhaling slowly, as if releasing invisible weight from your chest. In that breath, you watch a bird take flight. You do not need to hold its wings for it to soar. Life, too, knows how to carry itself forward. Your task is not to control every moment, but to walk with awareness, ready to respond with clarity. Affirm softly within yourself, I release the weight of needing to control. Life flows when I flow. Surrender is my strength. These are not words of weakness, but of courage. To surrender is not to give up. It is to trust the wisdom of life itself. Ask yourself now, where in your life are you tightening your fist? Is it in relationships, where you fear losing someone? Is it in your work, where every outcome feels like it must unfold perfectly? What happens if, even for a moment, you let go? Not carelessly, but with trust. What peace waits on the other side of surrender? Control may feel like protection, but it often builds walls around your heart. Letting go opens the windows, letting in the wind, the light, and the possibility of joy. Release the thought that you must control everything. Step into 2025 with open hands, not clenched fists. Remember this, the river does not ask you to push it forward, it flows on its own. And so does life. When you release control, you do not fall, you finally learn how to flow. 3. Happiness lives somewhere else. Why do we chase happiness, yet so often miss it where we stand? The thought, happiness lives somewhere else, is one of the greatest illusions of the mind. It tells you joy will come when you reach a certain place, when you achieve more, or when life finally aligns with your plans. Yet, this constant chase leaves you blind to the blessings already before your eyes. Buddhism teaches that suffering comes not from the absence of joy, but from the restless belief that joy is elsewhere. The mind wanders to tomorrow, while joy waits in today. Think of how often your mind whispers, "I'll be happy when I get there." But have you noticed that when there arrives, the mind quickly invents a new destination? The chase never ends, because the lie never ends. Imagine a traveler who circles the entire world searching for treasure. He climbs mountains, crosses oceans, endures endless hardship. Yet the treasure was buried all along in his own garden, just beneath the soil where he began. This is how many live, searching everywhere for happiness except within the present moment. Modern life strengthens this illusion. Advertisements promise joy in the next purchase. Social media shows happiness in other people's lives, and ambition convinces you that only in the future will you finally rest. But Buddhism invites you to pause. True happiness is not a reward for later. It is the simple awareness of being alive now. Close your eyes for a moment and take one full breath. Feel the air enter your lungs, then release it slowly. Treat this single breath as though it were both your first and your last. Do you feel the gift hidden in something so simple, so overlooked? Happiness does not hide in extraordinary moments. It lives quietly in the ordinary ones we forget to see. Affirm gently within yourself, joy is already within me. I stop running and start seeing. This moment is enough. Let these words remind you that the life you long for is not waiting ahead. It is unfolding here. Reflect deeply now. What happiness is already present in your life today? Is it the warmth of sunlight through your window, the comfort of someone's voice, the rhythm of your own heartbeat? Why do you keep searching outside when life has already placed treasures in your hands? When you delete the thought that happiness lives somewhere else, you return home to yourself. You begin to see the garden you already live in, the laughter you once overlooked, the peace in stillness, the miracle of simply breathing. Step into 2025 not as a traveler endlessly chasing, but as a witness to the joy that has been here all along. Remember, the path is not about running forward, it is about standing still and finally seeing. 4. I cannot afford to lose. What if loss is not punishment, but purification? The thought, I cannot afford to lose, clings tightly to the heart, making you fear endings, departures, and change. Yet, in truth, loss is not the breaking of your life. It is the shaping of it. Each ending you resist may, in fact, be the very door that opens to a new beginning. Buddhism teaches that impermanence is the law of all things. Nothing you hold can remain unchanged. To resist this truth is to suffer. To accept it is to be free. What leaves creates space for what must arrive. Look closely, and you will see this wisdom in the natural world. Without the fall of leaves in autumn, there could be no spring blossoms. Without endings, renewal cannot enter. Think of autumn trees. Leaves, once bright and full of life, slowly fade and fall away. The tree does not grieve its loss. It trusts the cycle. It knows that letting go is not death, but preparation for new growth. So it is with your life. What you lose is not always taken from you. Sometimes it is returned to the greater flow so that something deeper can enter. In daily life, this fear of loss drives much of human struggle. You fear losing relationships, status, possessions, or time. Yet, reflect for a moment. How many times has loss cleared the path for a blessing you could not yet see? Perhaps a job you lost opened the door to greater purpose. Perhaps a relationship that ended taught you strength and self-worth. Loss is not always the enemy. It can be the hidden teacher. Close your eyes and breathe. Now, imagine a single leaf detaching gently from its branch. Watch it float softly onto a stream. It does not resist. It does not fight the current. It simply surrenders to where life carries it. This is the peace of acceptance. You too can float with what leaves, knowing the stream carries you towards something new. Affirm within your heart, loss is not the end, it is the opening. I am bigger than what I lose. Nothing truly mine can ever be taken. These words are a shield against fear and a bridge toward freedom. Ask yourself now, what are you clinging to most tightly? A person, a memory, an identity? And what freedom would come if you loosened your grip, not to discard, but to trust? What if letting go is not losing, but returning what is no longer meant for you? Step into 2025, not as someone terrified of endings, but as one who sees loss as part of life's sacred rhythm. Remember, leaves fall not to destroy the tree, but to prepare it for renewal. So too, what you lose may be the space life needs to give you what you truly deserve. 5. I am defined by the past. Who would you be if you stopped carrying yesterday into today? The thought, I am defined by the past, clings to the mind like a shadow, convincing you that your identity is nothing more than old mistakes, old wounds, and old stories. Yet, this is not truth. It is a prison built out of memory. Buddhism reminds us that the self is not a fixed thing. You are not the same person you were yesterday, nor will you be the same tomorrow. The past is a shadow, real only when you stand facing away from the light. When you turn toward awareness, the shadow dissolves. You see that the past has no chains except the ones you keep polishing with your thoughts. Imagine chains made not of iron, but of smoke. They appear heavy, they seem to bind you, yet the moment you release belief in them, they scatter into nothingness. That is the weight of the past. It feels solid only because you have carried it so long. Modern life often reinforces this thought. People remind you of your old mistakes, society records your failures, and your own inner voice repeats stories of regret. But Buddhist wisdom teaches, you are not defined by what has happened. You are defined by what you choose now. Every breath is a rebirth. Every moment is a doorway into becoming. Close your eyes and visualize this. You are wearing an old, tattered robe. It is heavy with memories, with shame, with should-haves and if-onlys. Now, slowly, you remove this robe and place it gently on the ground. You step forward into new light, clothed not in your past, but in your possibility. How does it feel to walk freely, lighter, no longer bound by yesterday's fabric? Affirm softly within yourself, I am not my mistakes, I am my becoming. The past has no power without my permission. Today is my beginning. Let these words dissolve the grip of old stories, like sunlight melting morning fog. Now reflect. What memory still imprisons you? Is it a moment of failure, a word you regret, or a season of loss? And what would happen if you walked away without turning back? Would you lose yourself, or would you finally find yourself? Step into 2025, not as someone chained to yesterday, but as someone alive to today. The past is a teacher, yes, but it is not your name. It is not your identity. It is not your destiny. Remember this truth. The past can only follow if you keep looking over your shoulder. When you face the light of the present, the shadow disappears, and in that moment, you are free. 6. Others must approve of me. What if the search for approval is the greatest rejection of the self? The thought, others must approve of me, may seem harmless at first, yet it quietly erodes your freedom. It makes your life a stage, your choices a performance, and your heart a prisoner of other people's eyes. In chasing their approval, you risk losing the most precious thing, your own voice. Buddhism teaches that clinging to the opinions of others is another form of attachment, and like all attachments, it leads to suffering. Chasing every voice makes you deaf to your own. You cannot walk a steady path if every step bends to the direction of shifting applause. To live for approval is to build a house on sand, unstable, fragile, and never at peace. Imagine a bird that forgets its own song. Instead of singing the melody born within, it tries to echo every other sound around it. The crow's caw, the dove's coo, the sparrow's chirp. In the end, it sings nothing real. So too, when you bend endlessly to others' opinions, you silence the song your soul was meant to bring to this world. In today's world, the temptation to live for approval is stronger than ever. Every like, every comment, every glance feels like a measure of worth. Yet, the Buddha reminded us that true freedom comes when you no longer depend on others to tell you who you are. Approval may feel like oxygen, but it is not. You are already alive without it. Close your eyes now and imagine yourself standing on a high mountain. The wind carries your voice far beyond the valley below. You do not wait for the crowd to cheer. You speak your truth, and the sky itself receives it. Your voice does not need their permission to exist. Your worth does not require their applause. Affirm gently, "My worth does not depend on their applause. I choose my truth over their noise. Approval is not my oxygen." Say these words until you feel the weight of other people's judgments grow lighter, like clouds drifting away from your sky. Reflect for a moment. Whose approval have you been living for? A parent, a friend, a society that demands you fit into its narrow frame? And what would you do differently if their opinion no longer mattered? What risks would you take? What dreams would you follow? As you step into 2025, release this thought. Do not hand over your peace to the shifting winds of others' opinions. Walk your path with quiet confidence, knowing that the approval that truly matters is the one that arises when your heart and your actions align. Remember this truth. When you stop chasing every voice, you finally hear your own. And in that song, pure and unshaken, you will discover the freedom you were always seeking. 7. I must be busy to be valuable. Why do we confuse motion with meaning? The thought, "I must be busy to be valuable," is one of the greatest deceptions of our age. It convinces you that constant movement is proof of worth, that endless effort is the same as true living. Yet, beneath all that rushing, a quiet voice within asks, "Are you moving forward or merely spinning in place?" Buddhism teaches that stillness is not idleness, it is wisdom. Stillness reveals what effort cannot. When the mind is caught in busyness, it rarely sees clearly. Like muddy water stirred again and again, it remains cloudy. Only when the water rests do the sediments settle and the truth at the bottom can be seen. Picture a wheel spinning rapidly but going nowhere. The energy is real, but the destination is absent. This is what life becomes when busyness is mistaken for value. You feel exhausted, yet unfulfilled. You are moving, yet not arriving. In today's world, this thought is everywhere. Productivity is worshipped, rest is shamed, and silence feels uncomfortable. Yet, Buddhist wisdom reminds us that life's depth is not found in constant doing, but in conscious being. A single moment of awareness can carry more meaning than years of distracted rushing. Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting beside a calm lake. At first, there are ripples on the surface, echoes of busyness, worries, and expectations. Slowly, they fade. The water grows still. In that stillness, you can see clearly, even to the depths. This is the gift of rest, the return of clarity, vision, and peace. Affirm softly, "My value is not measured in speed. I can rest without guilt. Stillness is sacred." These words are not an excuse for laziness, but an invitation to balance. Rest does not diminish your worth. It restores it. Reflect deeply. Are you moving or are you truly progressing? Are your days filled with tasks, but empty of meaning? What would your soul choose if rest were not judged, if stillness were honored as much as action? As you prepare to enter 2025, release the thought that busyness equals value. Value comes from awareness, from intention, from the quiet strength of a mind at peace. When you delete the need to always be busy, You create space for what truly matters: presence, depth, and freedom. Remember this: a tree grows not only when it stretches upward, but also when it rests in silence, gathering strength unseen. So too with you. Do not mistake motion for meaning. Choose stillness, and you will discover the kind of progress that busyness alone can never bring. 8. I am separate from others. Is isolation real, or is it only a thought? The belief, I am separate from others, may feel convincing when loneliness visits or when conflict arises. Yet in the deepest truth of Buddhist wisdom, separation does not exist. It is a trick of the mind, not the nature of reality. The Buddha often reminded us that interconnection is the very fabric of existence. The ocean forgets no drop. Every drop belongs. Every ripple affects the whole. To believe you are separate is like a wave crashing loudly, forgetting it is nothing but the sea itself. When you remember your true nature, you see that you are never apart, only appearing so for a brief moment. Think of the waves on the ocean. Each rises with its own shape, its own movement, its own story. Yet no wave is ever apart from the sea. It begins in the sea, lives as the sea, and returns to the sea. So it is with you and every living being. Though your form feels distinct, your essence has never been separate. Modern life amplifies the illusion of separateness. Competition replaces cooperation. Social media creates comparison, and people live as though they are strangers walking alone. But Buddhist wisdom teaches that when one suffers, all suffer. When one heals, all are lifted. To see yourself in others is to discover compassion. To feel others in yourself is to awaken love. Close your eyes for a moment and visualize your body dissolving into light. That light rises, expanding beyond the skin, beyond the limits of form, merging with the sky. The boundaries vanish. You are not a fragment, but the whole. You are not apart from life. You are life itself. Affirm softly in your heart, I am connected to all that is. In others, I see myself. Separation is an illusion. Repeat these words like gentle waves upon the shore, washing away the loneliness and division your mind once believed. Reflect now. Where in your life do you feel separate? Is it in your relationships, where misunderstanding builds walls? Is it in society, where labels divide you from others? What would shift if, instead of seeing strangers, you recognized yourself in every being you met? As you walk into 2025, delete this thought of separateness. Live with the awareness that every kindness you give is kindness to yourself, and every harm you inflict circles back like a tide. To live as if you are connected is to live in harmony with the truth. Remember this: the wave may forget, but the ocean never does. You are not alone, and you have never been. The illusion of separation fades the moment you remember. You are the drop, and you are the sea. 9. Anger protects me. Does anger guard us, or does it burn us first? The thought, anger protects me, convinces you that your fury is a shield, a necessary force to defend your dignity, your boundaries, or your pride. Yet, in reality, it is often the first fire to consume your own heart, leaving behind pain, restlessness, and regret. Buddhism teaches that clinging to anger is a form of self-harm disguised as defense. Holding fire does not punish the one you hate. When you nurture resentment, it is not the other person who suffers most, it is you. The flames lick at your mind, clouding perception and stealing the serenity that is your natural birthright. Consider the metaphor of drinking poison while expecting another to fall. Each sip, each thought of rage harms you first. Anger may seem justifiable in the moment, but its residue lingers far longer than the perceived offense. It creates chains around your heart, chains that tighten with every replay of the grievance. In modern life, this thought often thrives unnoticed. A harsh word, a betrayal, a slight misstep by someone else. Each is catalogued in the mind, stored as ammunition, justified as protective. Yet, the Buddha reminds us that anger is never a companion to wisdom. Calm awareness, not fury, allows you to navigate life with clarity and freedom. Close your eyes and imagine a fire burning fiercely. At first, it roars, consuming everything in sight. But slowly, the flames die down into glowing embers, radiating warmth without destruction. In the same way, your mind can transform anger into calm, intense at first, yet softening, leaving only the strength that comes from presence and understanding. Affirm quietly within yourself, I release the fire that harms me first. My calm is my true strength. Compassion frees me more than anger ever will. Repeat these words until the heart begins to soften, until the mind recognizes that liberation is possible not through holding on to fire, but by letting it go. Reflect now. Who still lives rent-free in your mind, occupying space with blame, irritation, or resentment? What happens if you forgive, not for them, but for you? How would your days change if your energy returned from the past into the present, unobstructed and free? As you step into 2025, delete this thought that anger is protection. Embrace the power of calm, the clarity of compassion, and the quiet authority of self-possession. True protection does not roar. It rests, it observes, it responds with wisdom. Remember this: fire held too long never purifies, it destroys. When you release anger, you do not surrender, you awaken. You do not weaken, you become stronger. And in that strength, the world no longer needs to be tamed. The mind has finally found its home. 10. My worth is tied to success. What if success is not who you are, but only what you pass through? The thought, my worth is tied to success, convinces you that every achievement, every accolade, every milestone is proof of your value. Yet this belief quietly steals peace, replacing it with endless striving and self-judgment, as if nothing you accomplish can ever fully define your essence. Buddhism teaches that true worth is inherent, not earned. The tallest mountain is still made of the same earth. No matter how high it rises, its foundation does not change. Likewise, no matter how many successes you collect, your essence, the being at your core, remains the same, untouched and already complete. Imagine a mask made of gold. It gleams brilliantly, catching every eye, earning admiration and envy. Yet beneath it lies your true face, untouched by the shine. This mask is like tying self-worth to achievement. Beautiful, impressive, yet not you. When you remove it, you discover the quiet dignity that never needed to be proven. In today's world, this thought is reinforced constantly. Social media broadcasts milestones, career paths, reward accomplishments, and society celebrates only what is visible. The danger is subtle. You begin to believe that your value depends entirely on doing, on producing, on climbing. Buddhist wisdom reminds us being is as sacred as doing, and presence carries more depth than accolades. Close your eyes and visualize laying down trophies, certificates, or symbols of achievement one by one. Feel the weight lift with each release. You are not diminished by letting go. You are lighter, freer, and closer to the self that was never conditional. With every object set aside, you reclaim the truth. you are enough. Affirm softly, I am valuable beyond achievement. Success is not my identity. I am enough in being, not just doing. Allow these words to settle in your heart, like gentle rain nourishing soil that has long been starved of its own recognition. Reflect deeply. Would you still love yourself if you had nothing to show? If the world offered no applause, no validation, no visible marks of success, would you still honor the life within you? What is the true success you seek? External admiration or the quiet recognition of your own worth? As you step into 2025, delete the thought that success defines you. Walk lightly through life, knowing that achievement is a path, not a measure of your soul. Allow yourself to be valued simply for existing, for breathing, for being present in this moment. Remember this: gold masks shine, but they do not create light. Your worth was never borrowed from achievements. It has always been your own. Release the need to prove yourself, and you will discover the freedom and peace that has quietly awaited you all along. 11. Regret defines me. Does regret teach, or does it chain you to a past that no longer exists? The thought, regret defines me, can feel familiar, like a cloak you wear day and night. It whispers that your mistakes are permanent, that every misstep marks you for life, and that your identity is woven from errors rather than growth. Yet Buddhism reminds us that clinging to regret only deepens suffering, keeping the mind in a storm long after the rain has passed. The arrow is gone, yet you hold the wound open. The Buddha taught that holding on to pain does not heal, it magnifies. Regret becomes a mirror, but a distorted one, reflecting only what you wish had been different. In truth, the arrow has left, yet your attention continues to puncture the same wound over and over, preventing the heart from learning, forgiving, and moving forward. Imagine standing in rain long after the storm has passed, letting cold drops soak your body while the skies have cleared. This is the weight of regret, a self-imposed storm that lingers only because you refuse to leave it behind. Every thought you replay, every "if only" you whisper, nourishes the flood rather than releasing it. In modern life, regret is subtle but persistent. A choice at work, a word spoken in anger, a path not taken, each can become a mental leash. Yet Buddhist wisdom teaches that regret's true purpose is not punishment, but guidance. The lessons are already embedded. The teacher has done its work. Holding on longer only obstructs the wisdom that has quietly arrived. Close your eyes and visualize this. In your hands, heavy stones, each one a regret, each one a should have or could have. Slowly, one by one, drop them into a river. Watch as the current swallows them, carrying them away without judgment, without pause. The water does not cling, it flows, and so can your mind. Affirm softly, I forgive myself for not knowing better then. Regret is replaced by wisdom. I walk forward unchained. These words are keys, unlocking the cage that regret has built around your heart. They are reminders that freedom is not earned, it is reclaimed by letting go. Reflect now. What regret have you been watering with your thoughts, allowing it to grow stronger than it deserves? And what wisdom has it already given you, quietly, beneath the weight of your blame? How would your life change if you saw regret not as your definition, but as your teacher? As you step into 2025, delete the thought that regret defines you. Walk forward with light steps, carrying only the lessons that serve you, leaving the heavy stones behind. The past does not imprison, only your attachment does. Remember this: The arrow is gone. The storm has ended. The river carries away what no longer serves you. When you release regret, you do not lose anything. You finally reclaim the freedom that has always been your own. 12. Peace will come later. Why do we postpone peace as if tomorrow is promised? The thought, peace will come later, lulls the mind into a false expectation, whispering that serenity is always just beyond reach. After this problem, after that achievement, after the chaos subsides. Yet Buddhism teaches that peace is not found in waiting. It is discovered in presence, here and now. Peace is not a destination, but a doorway you walk through now. The mind often mistakes external circumstances for inner calm, believing that only when the world is still will the heart be still. But the truth is simple. Peace does not arrive after the storm. It exists within the stillness you cultivate at any moment, even amidst turbulence. Imagine standing at the shore, waiting for the tide to rise, unaware that you are already standing in water. So it is with peace. You are not outside of it, longing for its arrival. You are immersed in it already. The mind only needs to notice, to release the expectation that it must come later. In modern life, this thought is reinforced by endless striving. The calendar dictates your calm. First finish this task, then rest. First reach this goal, then breathe. Yet each moment you defer peace is a moment lost. Buddhist wisdom encourages us to return to the present, to see that the doorway to serenity is not ahead, it is beneath your feet. Close your eyes and take a deep, intentional breath. Feel the stillness between inhalation and exhalation, expanding endlessly. Let your awareness settle into this quiet space. In it, peace is not distant. It is immediate, accessible, and alive within you. You do not need permission, a perfect moment, or external conditions. You only need to recognize that you are already home. Affirm gently within, peace is here, in this breath. I do not wait. I return to myself now. This moment is my home. Let these words root themselves deep in your heart, reminding you that postponing serenity is a choice, not a necessity. Reflect deeply. What peace are you delaying? Is it the stillness of mind, the acceptance of what is, the forgiveness you withhold, or the gratitude you overlook? And why not begin now, in this breath, in this very moment, rather than waiting for some future ideal? As you step into 2025, delete the thought that peace must wait. Embrace the awareness that serenity is not a reward for later. It is always available when you choose to return to yourself. Allow your mind to rest in the simple truth that the present is enough and that peace has been patiently waiting for your recognition all along. Remember this: the tide does not need to rise to carry you. You are already floating. The doorway to peace is not ahead. It is here, open and inviting. Step through it now and discover that calm, clarity, and freedom are not distant dreams. They are your natural inheritance. Quick summary of the things. I am not enough. This thought keeps you trapped in self-comparison and endless dissatisfaction. It blinds you from recognizing your natural worth and inner completeness. By deleting it, you begin to see yourself as whole, just as you are. I must control everything. The urge to control people, outcomes, and life itself creates tension and suffering. Letting go brings freedom, and surrender to impermanence reveals true strength. Release this thought, and peace naturally follows. Happiness lives somewhere else. Believing happiness is in the future or outside yourself robs you of the joy of the present. True contentment comes from realizing happiness already lives within you. Erase this thought, and you will feel peace now. I cannot afford to lose. Fear of loss ties you to clinging and unnecessary suffering. Buddhism reminds us that everything that leaves makes space for something new. Accepting loss teaches you freedom and deeper strength. I am defined by the past. Carrying the weight of past mistakes prevents growth. The past is gone, but your attachment keeps it alive. Letting go opens the door to renewal and a fresh beginning. Others must approve of me. Seeking validation outside keeps you enslaved to others' opinions. True liberation is living authentically without needing applause. Releasing this thought allows you to hear and follow your own voice. I must be busy to be valuable. Busyness often disguises emptiness, making you confuse effort with meaning. Stillness and presence reveal greater clarity than constant activity. Deleting this thought lets you rest and discover your true worth. I am separate from others. The illusion of separateness creates loneliness and ego. In truth, we are deeply interconnected, just as drops belong to the ocean. Removing this thought awakens compassion and unity. Anger protects me. Anger feels powerful, but burns you before it harms anyone else. Forgiveness and compassion are stronger shields for the heart. By deleting anger, you reclaim inner peace and freedom. My worth is tied to success. Equating identity with achievements keeps you trapped in fear of failure. Your value is not in what you do, but in who you are. Release this thought and step into authentic self-worth. Regret defines me. Regret keeps you replaying wounds long after the moment has passed. Instead of chains, let regret become wisdom. Deleting this thought helps you walk forward lighter and freer. Peace will come later. Waiting for tomorrow delays the only peace available now. Peace is not a future gift, it is present in every breath. Deleting this thought allows you to return home to yourself today. As you prepare to step into 2025, remember this: the heaviest baggage you carry is not on your shoulders, but in your mind. These 12 thoughts are like invisible chains that quietly drain your happiness and cloud your inner light. Once you release them, you will discover that peace is not something to search for. It is something that remains when the noise is gone. Zen philosophy teaches, when the mind is empty, the whole universe enters. To delete these thoughts is not to lose. It is to finally gain space for joy, clarity, and inner freedom. This is the art of living, not adding more, but removing what no longer serves your soul. So ask yourself, before this year ends, which of these thoughts will you set down first? Your freedom begins there. If this wisdom touched you, remember to like and share this video. Write your reflections in the comment box and subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more inspiring Buddhist insights on living a calm, peaceful life.